Hi, it's CNT120 Chapter 4 Lab. We're on Part 7 here on netstat. So we're going to run the netstat command, and what netstat does is it gives us network statistics. This can be helpful if I'm looking for connections that are open to sites, services, etc. So on my machines, I'm going to run netstat on the Windows side, and then I'm going to run kind of the equivalent on the Linux side. So on my Windows side over here, I'm going to open up my command prompt. And I'm just going to run the command netstat-a, netstat-a. And this shows me all the connections that it has to various machines, in this case around the lab room. I should say things that it has learned and it has connections to. Now, if you do this at home, you'll get a netstat result, but it might be kind of small because there might not be a lot of computers around. In a lab room like this, we have a lot more computers around, so we have a lot more results. You notice our results here are a lot larger. If you don't get a lot, you can try pinging a couple of things in your network, and your table should maybe get a little bit larger, or open up a couple web pages to things. So what we're seeing is, hey, these are connections to various entities, and the most likely these are gateway addresses going out to various websites that are out there, especially if I pull my, I don't know if I have my browser open or not. If I pulled my browser open, let me see if I do have my browser open back here somewhere. And where was my, there it is. If I had that, no, I didn't have that open. A lot of times if you have your browser open with a lot of tabs, I would see a lot of entries here going to maybe different websites out there, remember, websites outside of your network. So this shows you any connections you have, and I could start paying attention to these things here. Are there certain ports of things open, certain services that are running that are communicating from my machine out to outside resources? If I were running a server, I would pay attention to know, are these services that should be running or not running? Maybe these are things that need to be patched or closed, if you will. All right, so I'm going to gather my netstat results here from Windows. It's a long one. That's all right. Got a little bit more than I wanted to on that one. There we go. So we'll do a Control-C there. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to say Part 7, netstat. And I will paste that in. That's a nice long one. That's all right. So there's my netstat results from my Windows machine. Now, I'm going to do the similar thing on the Linux side, and I'm saving that as I go there. On my Linux side, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to use the command netstat-tuan. That's an extra switch in there that ends up being very similar to what we have here on Windows. And this goes a very similar type of response that I would have in my Windows machine. So I'm seeing a lot of local services. I don't see too many connections out. We haven't used this for a whole lot of connections out. Here's one that's going out, if you will. So this is kind of not been using this on a whole lot for anything, so I don't see a lot of connections outside, but I at least have one here that I could look at. All the other ones tend to be locals, as you see here, local services running. So here's my netstat results on the Linux machine, and I'll just copy those as well. Copy them here, and I can do a right-click copy on this guy. Right-click copy, and in my file that's here, here is my part. This is my Part 7 netstat, and I will paste that in. There we go. So there is my netstat command on both of my systems.